The district's not falling apart, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
The district's going okay?
Yeah, everything's good.
Hi. Good. What's your name? Gustavo? Nice to meet you. Eric.
So there's the idea of traveling in parts.
Would you like to join a press conference?
Yeah. Get some tricycle bike parking.
Yeah. It's stroller parking.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be cute. You put in, I'll ask for questions and give it to this podcast.
Got this I live in respect what a coalition can when I say like everyone benefits like this strollers. And it was over, and as soon as I got on the subway, I saw a pregnant woman like yanking up the stairs of the subway with a big giant stroller. Jeez, I don't think. Twins, I was looking at a twin stroller. So getting up and down stairs was brutal.
Yeah.
And like, if they were more than a few steps, like not exactly safe. You know, single stroller was nothing. Someone told this, so I don't know if that's a I can take this.
Hi.
Hello.
It's the morning of press conferences. I work in small business.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's a one on the side.
Yeah.
Be on the side. Transo's here.
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah.
Hi.
Every part hopefully.
Is that News 12? Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island,
We're New York.
all New
We're
York.
covering Manhattan now. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So we're the best of the tri-state area, and then there's two of
Did you
us.
see the best of the tri-state?
Meaning like we take all the packages from like all the News 12s, and then we me and another MMJ cover Manhattan.
Got it.
So we now have a presence in Manhattan.
Cool.
Yeah. But this will go on the
I'm a
stream.
Bronx kid, so I was like
yeah,
News 12 all the way. It's great.
Yeah. So we're News 12 New York, so we're streaming.
Wow.
But it'll be like the VOSAT will be picked up by the other stations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. News 12's really getting big.
Yeah. The stream is doing really well.
Now, here's what you can't do. I hope you never do this, because New York 1 did this. They're now New York, still New York 1, but they're on Channel 8 for me. And it's very, so I hope you forever remain on Channel 12.
We're streaming, so we're not on. Oh, really?
Okay, good. I hope you're 12.com.
We're you can find us like on all those platforms.
Yeah, that's why the business card says News 12 the Bronx. And on your gear.
Yeah, that all my equipment comes from
Sorry, it comes from the mainland.
Yeah.
So if all the bridges, go down.
I was there yesterday.
Where in Bronx?
Saturday.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm from the Northwest. I live in Riverdale and I represent as far east as Wakefield.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm from Queens, but my mom's from Crotona.
Okay, that's not too far.
Is Crotona in your district?
It's not too far from me.
Let us know when you're ready, and
Just give me 1 second.
We can get a little closer to it.
Max, you want to go in the back? Maybe hold the bike closer. Here you go. All right, that's fine. We use our OTPS to get this Cannondale. Oh my God. I'm just kidding.
That was a joke.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Christopher Marte. I'm the city council member representing Lower Manhattan. Right here, the best part of the city, right, Eric?
No, incorrect.
Well, there's a crisis that's happening in New York City. After the pandemic, we've seen bike ownership increase to record amounts. But the biggest complaint that we receive from pedestrians, from cyclists, from people who want to become cyclists is, where do I park my bike? Where do I park it when I want to go to a park? Where do I park it where I want to go to work? And so myself and Councilmember Eric Dinowitz introduced 2 bills to solve this solution, to make sure that you can stroll to Prospect Park, that you can stroll to Central Park, bike your park in a safe location, but then also hang out and make sure that you can get back to it afterwards. Okay. Oh, bike your sorry. Yeah, so we're here because we hear that a lot of people have trouble with finding a location to park their bike in New York City parks, and also when they go to work. We have over 400,000 New York City employees, and many of them choose not to commute on a bike because they don't know where it's going to be from their 9 to 5. And so we have solutions that we're going to present today and introduce today at the stated meeting to make sure that people can park their bike and enjoy our city. And so I want to first introduce Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, the man from the Northern Bronx.
That's right. That's right. As we say, the best part of the city, Northern Bronx. I'm Eric Dinowitz, council member from the North Bronx, District 11. Before I was in the council, I was a teacher in the Bronx, and it was a great joy to be able to bike to work, especially living in the least healthy borough with the highest asthma rates. To be able to do something like bike to work was, great for my health. Didn't need to use a car, but when I got to work, I had to carry my bike upstairs and find space in a classroom. And anyone who's been paying attention knows there ain't a ton of room in our classrooms. And I had students who wanted to bike to school, and they were not able to because there was no place for them to put their bikes. This is the story of thousands of students and thousands of New York City employees throughout the city who love biking, love alternative modes of transportation, purchased a bike before or during the pandemic, but are unable to use it to get to work or to get to school because there's no place for them to park their bike. But with this legislation that Councilmember Marte and I are introducing today, it would require buildings of 10,000 or more square feet to provide space for people to park their bikes so that they don't have to carry it up the stairs and then find space in a classroom. Or it'll allow the students to actually choose to bike to school instead of getting their parents to drive them. Oh, did I drop my notes that I'm not reading? Oh, well, you should probably read these. They're good. They're written very well. And we've seen an unprecedented number of people choosing to purchase bikes, to use bikes, to bike places. The infrastructure in our city discourages any endeavor on their part to do more to be able to ride their bike. But these predetermined zones and areas for bike storage will upkeep and even boost this positive trend that we are seeing. And there's no better place to start than in our very own city-owned building. So I'm very excited for this legislation, and very excited for Councilmember Marte's legislation, which he'll talk more about making us able to park our bikes in New York City parks. So I want to thank everyone for coming today and thank Councilmember Marte for your partnership on this bill.
Yeah, let's give it up to Eric Dinowitz. These pieces of legislation are climate justice. When you think about the workforce in New York City, many of them don't own cars. Many of them choose to commute through subway or through walking. And so this just gives them another viable option to get to work being healthy and not relying on fossil fuels. And so with that, I want to introduce an advocacy group who has been fighting this fight for decades. You can see them everywhere advocating for people, for pedestrians, for cyclists. Let's give it up to Transportation Alternatives. And thank you, Emily, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, especially council members. I'm really excited about this set of bills. My name's Emily. I'm the Manhattan organizer with Transportation Alternatives, but I do want to highlight the citywide impact and benefits that are going to happen when we see increased bike parking. And I just want to amplify the fact that over the past years, we've seen skyrocketing bike ownership, bike riding, and commute times by bike up to 24% and 25% in the last 3 years. But with that, we've seen the city kind of slow and lacking in their commitment to building infrastructure to support that. So with that increase in ridership, we've seen decreases in actual investment in bike parking and building it by 70%. So we're not getting the bike parking to match ridership right now, and that's impacting all kinds of people from feeling safe on the streets, trying out a bike, getting to where they need to go, and prioritizing those sustainable and climate-focused and oriented modes of transit. And another thing I want to call out just briefly is the amount of cargo bikes and parents and caregivers we see who want to take their children to school this way, who want to be able to empower young people in the city to ride, and without safe space to park bikes, especially in public facilities, it's just not an accessible option. So I think opening up the public spaces and public buildings to new infrastructure, new parking is a huge win for everybody. And another point I just want to make is truly the lack of city follow through is 11 broken promises now in basically over a year and a half. So we're seeing just lagging commitment, and I'm really proud of both of you for taking the lead on this year and fighting for these much needed improvements for bike parking, both in your districts and for the whole city. So let's fight for the climate, let's fight for youth, let's get them access to keeping their transit modes affordable, easy, healthy, and get people out biking safely and get those intersections safer and ready for cyclists. So thank you, everybody, and really excited about this pair of bills.
Awesome, thank you so much, Emily. We have an image here of what this would look like in our New York City parks. As you can see, it will allow some covering so people can put in their bikes, close it easily, and it takes up to 6 to 8 bikes depending on the model that New York City Parks decides to choose from. And this will be super helpful, especially for our delivery workers. If they want to take a break at a park, they could come in, put their bike, lock it up, have a meal, go back, safely secure their bike, and continue with their work. And today we have representing us from the Workers' Justice Project, the Deliveristas, we have William to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for being here. My name is William Medina, leader of Los Deliveristas Unidos, member of Workers' Justice Project, and for the past 6 years, I've been working as an app delivery worker with DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrabHub. We're proud to start with the council member Chris Marte and Eric Dinowitz today in introducing 2 pieces of legislation that will expand bike parking across New York City. Building a strong biking and micromobility infrastructure is critical to enhancing safety for not just the delivery workforce, but the entire community at large. As we have recently highlighted in our new report, Delivery Justice, a worker justice center vision for street safety by unlocking safe, dedicated locations for bike parking in select parks and buildings. Delivery workers will be able to complete their routes more efficiently and also have a place to safely store their bikes without fear or theft and help ease street congestion. We look forward to continue our partnership with council members Marte, Dinowitz, and the entire council to fight for bike parking solution and smart micromobility, infrastructure that delivery workers, pedestrian and everyday cyclists can call short. Thank you for partnership, and we're looking forward to continue to work together to build a new infrastructure that meets the reality of all New Yorkers, including 16,000 app delivery workers. Thank you.
Woo! As William mentioned, one of the biggest concerns is safety. And what we saw in London, where they have a similar motto, is if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If someone can't see the bike, whether it's attached to the pole or some of these bike docking locations that are visibly public, it creates a much safer location for a person's bike. And so that's what we want to achieve. We want more people to take their bikes, safely secure it, and make sure that when they're done, either enjoying a park or work, they can get back to it and it'll still be there. And so we're happy to take a few questions from the press.
My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. So I want to know that, like, what would be your response to, like, Shabazz Stewart of Oneepod, because he's a donor to Transalt, and I want to know what would be your response to him saying that this is going to cut to his business because he has the same concept here.
I'm a supporter of the Oneepod. I think it's a great idea. I think we should have multiple solutions, right? This is one that can be easily made and distribute out through the city, but I think we're going to need different types of bike storages, whether it's in buildings, whether it's in park, or whether it's in street. I have a Oneepod in the Hudson Square part of my district, and it's widely used and supported, so we support his business model, but we think there should be other
that will cut
modes of
the
storage.
thing is that will cut into his business, to be exact. It's free, the same type of spots for the same pod, but that's going to cut to his business. If you make more than his, it's going to destroy his business. So what would be, he might make a response that it's going to ruin his business.
Well, if you think about, and this would be the last question I take from you, if you think about car parking, there's different types of ownership, right? There's public parking in New York City, there's private. They both generate a lot of revenues for themselves. This one would be free, so it wouldn't cost anyone anything. But I think we should just have different solutions, right? Because it's going to be hard to cover all 5 boroughs, and so we need every single player to contribute to make it a safer place for bikes.
Thank you.
Does this also include e-bikes? And then in my building, for example, lithium-ion batteries are banned. So would it include like e-bike storage in buildings also?
So the legislation I'm introducing is for New York City parks, so it'll be outside. And yes, e-bikes can be stored at these locations. We're gonna have conversations with the Parks Department to see how long a bike can stay there and where it should be placed inside a park. That's for future conversations to be had, but I don't know if you want to talk about.
I also thought it was like also for buildings, like storage in buildings. Is that not?
There are 2 separate bills. There's the parks bill, and then there's the one in the buildings. As Councilman Marte said, there are conversations to be had, but it should be known that council is working very hard to ensure that our e-bikes are safe. We passed legislation last year regarding the certification of safe batteries, swap programs, things of that nature, to make sure the batteries being used are safe, people have access to them, but the types of bikes being stored in our city buildings would certainly be part of the conversation.
I'm Richard from Lake Park Times. I just like to know these city hangars in the parks. What's the budget of this project?
We're gonna have those conversations with New York City Parks. We want a model that's pretty affordable for the city, so we don't have to deal with the financial barriers and obstacles to implement one of these. I think if you look at it, it's kind of cheaper metal, something that you can easily find. We have sheds for equipment all over New York City parks. Why can't we have a shed for a bike for someone to enjoy their time at the park?
And today is an introduction of the bills, and throughout the process, we do talk with the administration and other advocates to make sure that it's meeting the needs of everyone in the city who would be using, the park bike parking or the building bike parking.
So these two bills is still will send to the city council today, or?
Yes. Yeah, on the floor today they're being introduced. Yes.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, we want to say thank you. Thank you to our advocates for being here. Hopefully we'll be able to move fast on these bills and contribute to bike culture here in New York City. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.